Nolan Pillay is next. Nolan's superpower is impacting humanity. He is a human mindset specialist, a global motivational speaker, coach, and philanthropist. He has been working in mindset development for over 5 years. His painful life experience made him an author. He's a speaker factor finalist for 2023. When Nolan is not helping others become their best versions of themselves, he's climbing mountains, cycling, and working on himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nolan Pillay with his presentation called Obstacles Make Me Stronger.
What if all of you here cannot hear, and I am the only one that can hear? Who is the one with the disability? It's a deep question, right? So this was asked by the late Mrs. Deaf South Africa, Ketiwe Madi, at the launch of my company. And when she asked this deep question, it sent a whole lot of thoughts and ideas in my mind. And I wondered, Nolan, what can you do to impact humanity and help the deaf community? And there were so many ideas being triggered at the time, and I thought, do something extreme that can inspire others to follow me or sponsor me. And this is when Climb for the Deaf Challenge was born. So what is Climb for the Deaf, you may ask? It was a project created to raise as much funds as possible to give the gift of hearing to children that are born deaf, plus to take 5 deaf people up Mount Kilimanjaro, putting our lives at risk and allowing them to make their dreams come true. So we had the thought, it's there. The next thing I needed to do was get emotionally attached to this thought. And the way I did it was to watch videos of children hearing for the first time. And every time I watched these videos, I used to tear. The more I teared, the bigger my why grew, and grew, and grew. And then I realized I needed to take inspired action steps. One of the inspired action steps was learning basic sign language. Because if I've got 5 deaf people up this mountain, I better know how to help them. And this is my favorite one to all of you tonight. It means I love you. Thank you for attending tonight. We really appreciate you. So after that, I had to spend my weekends with the deaf community, understanding their culture, getting to know them better, and learning from them on how we connect with each other. And I must tell you, with deaf people, they will say goodbye at the table, at the door, at the car, at the gate, until they finally say goodbye. Such an amazing crowd. I also had to train with them. So Reynold, we've been up Drakensberg a few times. The reason why I trained with them is I needed to understand whether they could make it up this mountain. I needed to check their skill out. Apart from that, I needed to connect with them. Because when I connected with them, it made things much more easier for me as a leader. I created an intention statement that we all are on top of this glorious mountain, celebrating our success, holding our banners up, holding our flags up. By the way, this picture is from 2019, not the 2022 climb. But I had to create this intention statement and put it out there that this is what we were going to achieve. And then January 2021, I had COVID. 58% oxygen levels, 13 days in intensive care unit. And I still got a climb to think about. Trauma on a daily basis, people were dying in front of me. I had to face all of that. It really was tough. On day 6, I almost gave up on my life. I got in touch with my family, and I told him, I can't do this anymore. And my daughter did something special. She sent me a copy of a gold card I carry. And she said, Dad, do not forget what your purpose is. Immediately, I had to snap out of this victim, this self-pity mindset, and start devising in my mind, how can I get out from this hospital? I visualized myself getting out of ICU in a ward, eventually walking to a car and coming home and just recovering. I couldn't walk to the car because of protocol. I had to be wheeled out in a wheelchair. At home, I was meditating often. I was walking around my garden, smelling the flowers and the trees just to get the natural oxygen. In a hospital, I could barely take 10 steps. I was practicing to walk again around my home because I know coming up, I still have a mission to accomplish. But that painful journey of COVID made me a first-time author. And I wrote this book called My COVID Journey, Mind Hacks and Techniques That Got Me Through It. The book was written mainly to help people who've lost their loved ones through COVID. What the book does is, it shows you what a COVID patient goes through so that you can reach peace and closure much faster. Come December 2021, I end the year on a mighty high. I go to the hospital thinking my lungs have given up again, only to be told I had a mild heart attack. So this is December 2021. They put 3 stents in me, and I'm still thinking that I have a mission to complete. So if you look at this lifeline, you can see how many obstacles I've been through, from a 10-year-old boy right up until having this mild heart attack. It's 9 months now to climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and I have to make sure that I achieve this. There's so many people banking on me. And guess what? We achieved it. 3 of our deaf climbers got to Uhuru Peak. They're in the picture here, and 1 hearing person. I got to 5,300 meters and I had to stop my journey because I couldn't breathe. And at the time, my life was much more important. The mountain will always be there. So I decided to stop that journey. But here's the beauty of this climb. Initially, it was about raising funds for children born deaf. Poshlale is 7 years old. We gifted her with hearing aids. Kwazi is 15 years old. After 15 years, she's learning how to hear. And I remember after they had implanted the hearing aid, her mom who was on the left said, "Hello, Kwazi." And Kwazi turns to her mom and says, "Hello, Mama." It broke us. So what else did this foundation do? What else did this climb do? It allowed us to give 40,000 Rand to the MDSA. So do you guys know that in South Africa we have a Miss, Mr. and Mrs. Deaf South Africa pageant? If you don't, then you're only following Miss South Africa. We do have one for the deaf, and what we do is we do this pageant on a yearly basis. A part of those funds was to have workshops with deaf and hearing people to start bridging the gap and teach you how to connect with the deaf community. And we know it's not that you don't want to, you don't know how to. We also created Hike with the Deaf, which is done every month just to connect. So what's next, Nolan? Apart from ice baths every 2 weeks, in 2024, we are climbing the mountain again. It's going to be for mental wellness, cancer, and for opening our community skills village. That's on our charts. If you would like to chat more about this, we can have a chat offline. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Nolan. Yes, afterwards, Nolan will be at the back for anybody who wants to chat to him and follow up on some of his fantastic endeavors.